Bitcoin has seen a steep correction towards 93,000. Will Bitcoin bounce from this level and continue higher? What are the macro implications of this short-term pullback? And when does Bitcoin officially turn bearish? These are questions we are answering in the video today. Let's jump on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. In today's video, we are discussing the recent correction on Bitcoin to 93,000 in massive amounts of detail, discussing exactly what is happening, where Bitcoin is likely to move to next, and most importantly, the macro implications this move has had on the higher timeframe price action and potential altcoin season. Before we get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos of Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. If that is the kind of content you are interested in, join us on Telegram. It is the first link down below. You will get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop of cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, you can join us over in VIP. We post trading setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more. And if you are interested in getting access to that, you'll also get access to our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our daily video, our help, our news, and our trade setup chat. Check it out, guys. Over 600 members in there. You can contact me via the pinned comment of the free channel by clicking my name or these links for more information. We have a sale starting very shortly for that. Let's go ahead, guys, and jump on in. So as we can see, Bitcoin is plummeting toward the downside. And if you watched yesterday's video, you would have known we said there were two particular levels we had to see Bitcoin get above to see a continuation upwards. Otherwise, we ran the risk of a correction into that $95,000 region. We showed you two levels. The first level was the diagonal resistance, and the second level was our horizontal prior high. We said in yesterday's video that both of these levels had to break for Bitcoin to continue upwards, and if we did not see those breaks, we would likely come down to fill the massive VRPV gap, the volume gap, which we have now filled. As we can see, it has been filled at around that $95,000, sub $95,000 region. We have seen a massive pullback into that area. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, why did you sell your Bitcoin at 96,000? I guess here is exactly why, because I said as we get closer and closer to 100,000, a lot of people are aping in massive position sizes. They're really hoping for that break above. We said in Telegram, there's a good chance we were going to see a massive flush prior to that 100K break, and we have seen a huge flush now for Bitcoin, and even for some altcoins dropping about 10% over the past 24 hours. We're going to be discussing this and so much more. Again, by the end of the video, you'll have a very detailed understanding of what's happening, so we'll get into that momentarily. Moving over to the market data to start on, however, let's take a look at the carnage that has unfolded over the past 24 hours. Let's jump into it. 24-hour volume is at 339 billion, up 27%, and liquidations are at 551 million, up 12%. Insane 414 million in long liquidations over the past 24 hours. Again, showing us just how many people were overexposed to long positions, moving at to that $100,000 region, all of which has mostly now been liquidated. We'll come back and discuss this in a second. Moving over to the DXY, weekly close was above, or should I say below, the range high. This, of course, is our macro consolidation over here. We are watching closely at this weekly. Again, if we are able to sustain above these prior highs, there is a chance we push back above and continue higher. If this were to occur, this would be incredibly bearish for risk assets, for Bitcoin, and for the S&P 500. However, at the moment, this does look like deviation, and therefore we are expecting continuations into and below the range low. So that would be very bullish for risk assets and for Bitcoin. So we're kind of in this decision point over here. I'm more leaning towards a downward move, as this does look like deviation for now. However, we have to be aware of the potential consequences a weekly close above this 108, 107.5 level could have on the macro outlook. It is unlikely we continue higher, particularly with interest rate reductions coming in the future, which is expected. We do know the macro implications of decreasing interest rates is inherently bullish for risk assets and bad for the dollar, as it generally leads to, again, cheaper debt, more spending, higher inflation, higher asset prices, a weaker dollar. That's a very simplified version, but we do generally see that kind of, layout occur over many months. Moving over to the S&P 500, currently weekly candle sitting at 5,989. We would like to see a break of this prior high to see a continuation higher. However, we have not done so yet, as we can still see we have got strengthening bearish divergences developing. The reason I say it is strengthening, as we can see the angle of these bearish divergences from divergence number 1 over here to divergence number 2 to these highs here is starting to increase, and therefore we are seeing an increased amount of exhaustion develop at these price points, which could increase the likelihood of a correction. Now, I do not think we are going to see that, and even if we do, I've said many times, I am bullish on the S&P 500, provided 5,700 holds. If we drop below this level, I will turn bearish. But for us to see the continuation higher, we definitely need to break through that RSI, a positive momentum shift, and we definitely need to see this high taken out. We see those two things, we continue upward. That is it, guys. Let's jump into the video today. We are discussing short term, we're discussing macro, we're discussing altcoins, we're discussing everything. But before we do, if you are interested in supporting the channel, supporting the content, and supporting yourself, most importantly, and getting a massive lifetime trading fee discount of 15%, which can build up to 45%. Now, mind you, that's a huge benefit. It has saved me well over 80,000 US dollars this month, probably even more. Honestly, I've traded around $450 billion in volume this month, so probably about $100,000 in fees I've saved. You can sign up to the links down below to BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX. You'll get the discount on all of those exchanges, and you'll support yourself and support me. Sign up, we'll play your ad, and we'll jump in. I'd like to introduce our partner, BitUnix. BitUnix is a global non-KYC, no country restriction exchange, making it a perfect exchange to trade on if you're from the USA, from Canada, the Netherlands, or just prefer to trade without KYC. This exchange is a futures and spot exchange with over 200 different trading pairs and some of the lowest fees in the game. If you sign up with my link down below, you'll get access to 15% off your trading fees, as well as an exclusive reward center where you can claim up to a multitude in USDT prizes. So go ahead and sign up with my link down below for 15% off, and I'll see you in there. Okay team, let's go ahead and jump back in. And as we said, we are taking a look at the altcoin season. We are taking a look at the total market cap. We are taking a look at the short-term price action. And very importantly, we are zooming out to the macro charts, discussing invalidations on both the weekly and the daily. At what point are we bearish on Bitcoin, and why we are still bullish? So these are questions we're answering in today's video. Let's first and foremost start on the daily chart for Bitcoin. Now, we are taking a look at a trend line on the RSI, which we have been discussing pretty much on and off since August, maybe a little bit into August, September. Now, this uptrend is going to be on the RSI. This is our RSI uptrend. It is a representation of positive momentum. It is suggestive that during the trend, which has been developed from our 49K low, now remember, we turned bullish at 49K. We told you guys the bottom was in. From this point onwards, we have been seeing these higher lows develop pretty much religiously with those higher lows. And with that, we have seen a very steady uptrend on the RSI, which is suggestive that we have positive momentum. The momentum has been increasing. Now, for us to have a strong trend, we generally like to see not only our structural confirmation through horizontal levels, but our trend-based confirmation through our diagonal levels, and of course, our strength-based confirmation through indicators such as momentum, which reflect buyers and sellers' decisions in regards to strength. So we have strength, we have structure, and we have trend. If we take a look at this price action, we of course have been in a parabolic moon mission to 100,000, and the most important level we are still watching to gauge the overall strength of this trend, okay, is going to be the RSI. If we see that RSI drop below here, I've been saying this for a long time, that would be the warning sign I am looking for this to be potentially marked as the top for Bitcoin. Now, I do not think that is happening yet. It has clearly not happened, but it is a warning sign we need to be aware of. So at what point will I turn bearish on Bitcoin for extended continuations? That will occur if we drop below the daily RSI, okay? So a lot of people are probably wondering, well, are you bearish on Bitcoin? My answer is no, okay? Now, I sold at 96,000. Sold between 49 and 96,000. I took initial profits at 49. I sold the rest of my bag at 96. I explained why I did that. Again, I bought at 16.5K. My targets have always been 96,000 for the last 1.5 years. I decided to sell at that price point because I want to rotate money into altcoins, and I'll explain that in a second. But as I said, just because I have sold doesn't mean I am bearish. I just believe there is more opportunity elsewhere to make profit. Now, in regards to whether or not I am bearish, I will be turning bearish for Bitcoin on the daily chart if this trend line were to break down. Now, that is not in my macro outlook. On the daily chart, I will turn bearish if this RSI trend line breaks down, as that would indicate to me that the strength we have seen develop through this trend has flipped negative. We are in now a position of weakness. So that is what I'm looking for on the daily chart first and foremost, guys, if we were to see a correction and we want to see lower. Let's move over to the macro charts and we'll come back and discuss what is happening and why I believe that is probably not the case yet. In regards to our macro price action, Bitcoin is exceptionally bullish. They've been bullish for a very, very long time. And there are two indicators we look out for macro bear markets to start. And that is going to be on our weekly chart and our 2-week chart. First and foremost, on our weekly chart, we are watching the Gaussian channel upper band and the leading span A of the Ichimoku cloud. The leading span A being the upper level of the cloud and the Gaussian channel upper band being the upper level of the Gaussian channel. What we have noticed historically is upon the loss of both of these levels, we enter macro downtrends. Okay, we've seen that in every single cycle after the prior all-time highs. Upon the loss of both of these levels, we enter macro downtrends. So if we were to enter a macro downtrend, when would the bear market start? We would wait for those 2 points to occur, and only at those 2 points would we turn macro bearish. The next one is going to be the 2-week 2-week baseline on the Ichimoku cloud. This is simply this red line. Now, this level, if lost, will start the bear market. A breakdown of this level not only marks the start the bear market, but what we can see as well, a 2-week close of the baseline below the leading span B has also marked the exact bottom for Bitcoin on 2 separate occasions. We can see on 2 separate occasions a 2-week close of the baseline of the Ichimoku cloud below the leading span B has marked the bottom. So we'll be utilizing this indicator to purchase the exact bottom for Bitcoin yet again for the 3rd time in a row next cycle when that plays out. So those are what we're looking out for to turn bearish. So then the question is, well, if you're not bearish, are you bullish? The answer is yes, I am still bullish for Bitcoin. If we take a look at our historical price cycles, we'll come back to it in a second, seeing corrections and pullbacks at these levels are perfectly normal. We have to see profit taking after a significant rally toward the upside. The only issue with pullbacks is if we start to see the strength turn negative, that is when the pullback becomes bearish. Not every correction is bearish and not every rally is bullish. You cannot flip your biases the moment you see a green candle or a red candle. You need to justify your biases based on the strength of price action. And as I've said already, I am not bearish until this RSI breaks down, until the daily momentum flips negative, then I will be. But until then, this pullback in my eyes is a healthy correction for Bitcoin before we likely continue higher. So let's take a look at this chart now. This is going to be our total market cap, total 3 market cap for alt season. Okay, the reason I'm looking at this chart is I want to show you something from our historical fractals, which justify a potential correction here for Bitcoin and what that really means for the broader markets. As we can see in our prior cycle, guys, right over here, this is our prior cycle. There are 3 points I want to show you. Our Bitcoin local top, which is our green circle, our breakout of our yearly altcoin resistance, which enters altcoin season, and the circle of which Bitcoin dominance falls. If we draw a vertical line, what we notice that all three of these events happen at the same time. We see Bitcoin dominance begin to fall as we see the total 3 market cap break its yearly resistance, as we see Bitcoin form a local top after the first rally post all-time high. We are seeing the exact same thing occur this cycle. The first Bitcoin rally post all-time high, moving into a local top sub 100,000. Altcoins are breaking out of their yearly resistances entering altcoin season, and as that is occurring, Bitcoin dominance is moving toward the downside. We are seeing this exact carbon copy of last cycle play out currently. And that would tell us that we are on the brink of altcoin season if we see this exact cycle play out. Now, the only thing in my eyes that could invalidate this, the only thing in my eyes that could get in the way of this, again, is going to come back to the daily RSI. If we see that daily RSI break downwards, that is going to be an indication momentum has slipped negative, and we likely see Bitcoin extend or correct lower, and that will likely draw the rest of the market down with it, even if Bitcoin dominance is moving down. So that is it, guys. That is what we're watching for. Let's jump into the shorter time frame price action. This is the short-term time frame price action. As we can see, we have seen a pretty steep correction for Bitcoin. We're not going to lie, this has been a pretty steep correction, but we have come back and retested a pretty critical level. Now, if you remember back to our videos a few weeks ago, we were discussing our uptrending trend line, and we talked about how we were bullish while we remained above this trend line. We've actually broken below this trend line now, but this trend line is kind of invalid in the sense as it was forming part of this uptrending ascending triangle formation. It's no longer, it doesn't extend past this point. This is the length of that trend line. This is the validity of which a trend line we are watching the trend line within. Now, we have seen, and we did see an eventual breakout of this horizontal neckline, which resulted in the continuation upwards just shy of 100,000 as a consequence of the breakout of this ascending bullish triangle formation. What we have now seen is a correction back into retest this prior level of support. So Bitcoin is now at support. It is highly likely that this move downwards is finished. It is complete. If we look at the RSI over here on the hourly, we can already start to see some very, very faint bullish divergences developing at these points from our prior lows that we have pushed down in. So again, it is highly likely Bitcoin is going to bottom very close around this level before we then see a continuation upwards. Now, we do have a lot of ground to clear. Of course, we have established some newer levels of resistance. The primary level of resistance now sitting around this 95,500 level. We will need to break above that region. And of course, the most important level Bitcoin needs to break above to see a new all-time high is going to be this prior high at 99K. If we break 99K, we will go past $100,000 for Bitcoin. If we break above 95, we likely move up into this region. Okay, so what needs to happen for Bitcoin to do that? As we said, we need to see a strong bounce from this region. Ideally, we do not want to be losing this low point that we have now support resistance flipped on. If we zoom into a smaller time frame really quickly, we can see that Bitcoin is showing signs of bullish divergence. We have got, again, this uptrend on the RSI and this downtrend on the price action. We have also got a respective downtrend as marked out by this trend line right over here, forming a descending channel formation. Thus, a break of this downtrending trend line would likely be a good opportunity for Bitcoin to rally back upwards into these highs before then correcting and then continuing either higher or lower from there. But that is the next short-term move we are expecting for Bitcoin, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next video. See you then.